Welcome back to Miss Eddie's Math Movies, where it's cute to be a square. Today's lesson is 4.6, Medians and Centroids. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify a median and a centroid and use properties to solve for the length of medians. Today's notes look a little bit different than normal, but I've given you this handout, so you should have it available to you. What is a median? Well, a median is a segment that connects a vertex to the midpoint of the opposite side. So what is that talking about? Let's make sure you understand that. So a vertex is like the angle, so we're going from the angle to the middle of the opposite side. So let's look here. Here's an angle, and then we're going to the middle. So those tick marks show you that it's the middle of the opposite side. So CD is one example. Then here's a vertex. Here's the opposite side right in the middle. The tick marks show you that. So AE is another example. And the last example, here's the vertex to the middle of the opposite side is BF. The centroid is the point where the medians intersect. So all the medians intersect right here at O. O is the centroid. So there's some things, if you did the activity, there's some things you should have noticed about the median, or each median. And you should have noticed, one thing we talked about is that the longer part, all right, so I'm going to write in here, I'm going to turn this for a moment. This is the long, this is the short. All right, the short is always by the midpoint. The long is always by the angle. Here's the long, here's the short. So each median has a long part and a short part. And the relationship between the short and the long is that the long is half of the short. Or if you multiply the short by 2, you get the long. So 2 short pieces fit in this long piece. All right, so if you think about that, so here's a short, and then 2 shorts fit over here. That means this is kind of broken up into 3. Right? Here's a short, 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 because 2 shorts fit in the long. So we kind of think about this in thirds. So with the relationship between the short and the whole, well, how many shorts do we need in the whole thing? Well, we would need 3. So the whole median is equal to 3 short pieces. What about between the long and the whole? Well, the long, here's one long, and here's half of the long. So we need 1.5 long pieces to get the whole thing. Or in other words, you can think about it as we need 2/3 of the whole. We need 2 of these pieces out of the 3. So 2/3 of the whole equals the long. And we could think of this over here as 1/3 of the whole equals the short. All right, you could think about this either way. And I kind of like to think about it in terms of these fractions. I'm going to show you why in a second. Because this is kind of a lot to remember. Is there any easy way for us to remember this? And I came up with this. It's kind of corny, but it works. I call it the median lover's pizza. All right, because we're using medians. So this is the memory trick to help remember this. So I'm going to draw a pizza and cut it into thirds. right? Because that's kind of what we have going on here. We've got 2/3 and we've got 1/3. We've got the whole thing. So the 1/3 of the pizza is the short. Right, here's one. And then 2 slices represents the long. So kind of these two together represent the long. And then the whole pizza is the whole. So we have the short, the long, and the whole. The short is 1/3, the long is 2/3, and the whole is the whole thing, just like it sounds. So let's see if we can kind of make sense of this. There's a lot of fractions, a lot of numbers going on. So if CE equals 5, so let's put that in our picture, then what is EB? Well, we don't even have to use this stuff yet. We're still looking on the outside, and I see a tick mark here and a tick mark here, which means this must also be 5. Because this is the midpoint. It's right in the middle. And let's look, if AB is 14, the whole thing is 14, then AD, well, AD is the shorter piece. Well, D is right in the middle. D is a midpoint, which means these have to be equal. So they have to be 7 and 7. AD is 7. So now we haven't had to even use this part up here yet, but this is when it comes in. So when you're working on the outside, you don't have to worry about the short, the long, and the whole. But once you start looking at the inside, here's where we have to think about the short, the long, and the whole. All right, so let's see. If AO is 12, AO is 12. What is this and what is the whole thing? Okay, AO. Well, is AO the short, the long, or the whole? AO is the long, and the long represents 2 slices of pizza. Okay, so I'm going to draw this for you. Here's our pizza. So this represents the 2/3. So 2 of these slices equal 12. So then I ask myself, well, what's 1 slice? If 2 slices make 12, that means 1 slice has to be 6. So all of these are 6. Now I can answer the rest of the questions. So the 2/3 is the 12. What about OE? Well, OE is the short. That's only 1 slice. How much is 1 slice? 6. And AO is the whole thing. What's the whole thing? Well, 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18. The whole is 18. All right, let's try it again. Let's draw your pizza cut into thirds. Here we know that CD equals 30. Let's look at CD. CD is the whole. So the whole thing equals 30. Let's see if I can kind of draw that in here. So this whole pizza is 30. If the whole thing is 30, that makes each slice 10. Okay. Then we have to find OD. Well, OD is the short, and the short represents 1 slice. 1 slice is 10. Oops. 1 slice is 10. Then CD oh, I think they meant CO. Let's change that to CO. We already did CD. CO represents the long, and the long is 2 slices, and 2 slices is 20. All right, one more example. Similarly, let's draw the pizza. FO is 2. And I ask myself, is FO the short, the long, or the whole? FO is the short, and the short is 1 slice. So 1 slice is 2. That means every slice is 2. So when I look, OB is the long. The long represents 2/3, so 2 slices, and 2 slices is 4. And BF is the whole thing. Well, the whole thing is this whole 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. All right, so let's flip over to the back side and I'll get you started on what you need to do. So here, you just, TE is 8. You have to find the whole thing. All right, this is in the middle. That makes it pretty easy. You don't have to use the pizza yet. Same thing here. LJ, same thing here. Same thing there. This is when we start getting it. So this is just like numbers 1 and 2. These down here are where you have to use the 2/3, 1/3, and whole, like 3 through 5. So for each one of these, I would draw this and ask myself, do they give me 1/3, 2/3, or whole? I'll kind of get you started on them. Alright, so here they said ZD is 6. So the whole thing is 6. So the whole thing is 6. That means each slice is 2. Then you can answer the question, what is ZQ? Is that 2/3, 1/3, or whole? Alright, that's what you have to do for all of these. Fill in, if you need to, use the pizza to fill in what they gave you. Do they give you the 2/3, the 1/3, or the whole? So I want you to do this whole page now. We're going to go over it tomorrow. This is M Cubed signing out.